Hey, thanks, John. That would do it. I decided to clear the audio hijack because it had been running for a few days. Just didn't want it to like pile up on itself, and there you go, no audio. So yeah, I guess I'll backtrack. Yeah. So yeah, so up here at the top of the site, it was like just like this like blue section, and then I ended up doing a little vibe coding in Cursor and had it generate this WebGL shader, and I wanted it to kind of have a non-linear gradient, so it's kind of has this mixed of gradients. I want it to be based on basically the time of day, and for that to then make some sort of assumption about like what the sky would look like during that time of day. And this is what it kicked out after a lot of kind of back and forth. I was trying to get like a better, kind of more like grainier, like some sort of kind of film grain noise texture layered over the top, but it was a little bit tricky. When it tried to apply it, most of the time it started turning into like TV static, which is way too noisy. And that's so it just wasn't quite working out. So I kind of toned it down. It's still there a little bit just to kind of add like a little bit of texture, but it kind of ties into the whole sky theme. And who knows, maybe actually during this thing, you'll actually see the colors kind of change to be a little bit more warmer as it gets closer to sunset. And then at night, it kind of does some cool stuff. So that was kind of cool just to pull in the sky stuff, and have this little dynamic element. And then I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of like accessibility issues with it when when it comes to different times of day. But I did try to write a little thing to where, based off of the hours, it will actually dynamically change this text. Um, I could also look at doing an invert on it, but I'm not sure how well that's going to look against some of these different colors. It might end up introducing too much weird, funky color action going on. But right now, it's just kind of toggling between black and white depending on the time of day. So yeah, I basically added that thing. I was playing around with these little guest and speaker cards, just trying to figure out like what kind of columns and grids and stuff worked well with it. And then I did end up actually getting this thing done. So basically, this is um, this is for the control of like if I was a speaker and in the room, I'm going to have these controls where I can essentially mute myself and then the audio goes away and then I turn it on and we get a waveform thing here. It's kind of hard to see on this background. So again, I'm going to have to be tweaking some of this stuff. This isn't where all this stuff's going to live, but it does give us the foundation as far as being able to capture the microphone, have control over it, have the basic mute and unmute, and then this switch is basically the equivalent of or the same as like if I was to join this room or leave this room. So essentially, um, when I have it on, it's asking for microphone, but basically when it goes off, it's gone and it kills that microphone connection. So a little stuff like that. I also started doing a little footer just because I was not tired enough to go to bed, but not not quite awake enough to uh really dig into the WebRTC and the socket stuff. I did do a little bit of setup on the socket stuff, and I'll show you what's going on there. But today, my hope is that I'm gonna figure out both the like local and remote handling of the WebRTC stuff, and set up some socket stuff that will be, used to communicate some of that, as well as maybe a few of the API endpoints. Um, but my hope is that I can get to really just like a rough model of how the rooms and the sessions and the session guests will be handled, and then both from like a database as well as just the real-time updates. So yeah, so that's kind of where things are at. I still haven't pulled in the Bluesky library that I'm using over on starter packs, which was going to handle like the loading of all the profile and handling obviously like things like follow and unfollow and different things like that. That's still all in that other project right now, and debating on whether I do it on a stream or not. I don't think I am, just because I think it's going to be even more boring than watching me look at WebRTC documentation. But I am going to basically publish that package out on NPM, and then that way I can update both starter packs and this site to use that. And anyone else who wants to, write some stuff against Bluesky. So that's kind of the gist of that. But so yeah, so WebRTC. I started digging into it last night. I ended up staying up. I thought I was going to go to bed early. I ended up staying up way, way later than I was originally planning on. But yeah. So what are we going to do here? Oops. So I started digging into this and just figuring out everything that we need. I'm going to find the example that I found too that kind of gives a little bit of updates on what's going on, but basically I already have the media stream set up. So let me go over to the code side of things, and we can kind of just give a little run through on what's going on over here. So I have this media devices provider. It's capturing all the things like audio context, the device ID you want to use for capturing the audio, the devices that are available. Once you basically hit that little toggle to basically like turn on the fact that you want to be streaming, it captures the media stream. And then from that media stream, it creates a media stream audio source node. And that's actually what gets used by that waveform to inspect the bytes of the stream and then render that via that little kind of like waveform spectrum thing. So this is the provider that I have. It's actually, I think it's pretty straightforward. The things and then it also essentially lets you mute and unmute the audio tracks, as well as if you are muted and you happen to change your device ID, it will keep you muted when you do that. That was something I ran across. I was like, oh, it's like re-enabling the audio every time because it's getting a new media stream, and then it basically has to disable the tracks if you were previously muted. So a bunch of little finicky stuff like that. But it seems like this is good. Now, the next step is basically I need to have that media stream available for the WebRTC stuff. I'm debating on whether I throw all that logic in this media devices provider or whether I actually come over here and, let's throw this over here for now. Come over here and actually compose some sort of like a stream provider or something, which would handle the oops, no, I don't want to do that. Which would handle the it would still be able to reference the media stream from here, but then it would kind of broker all the peer connections and stuff. I'm not sure if it makes sense to break that stuff out. I don't know. It's either that or I actually create a more general, and actually I have been thinking about this one, is a room provider. So the idea is that this will handle your status of whether you're connected to a room. It'll then probably subscribe to specific socket events for that room. And I think this might make sense as far as like the place that then if we're kind of maintaining the which room you're in, um, which guests are are happening. I think maybe this is the spot that I do it, and I kind of um, leave this media devices one up here. It could still access it, but then all this kind of underlying logic as far as negotiating the WebRTC connection, what stuff is thrown off to a socket versus made through like API calls to change either your status or the status of someone else. Maybe that makes sense to have here, and then anything that needs to access like what room you're currently in. So whether that's the actual room page itself or this component that I'm going to have that'll follow you around the site, um, that will then like maintain your status of like what the active room is that you're listening in. And actually, the earlier today, I was jumping in some more Twitter Spaces just to kind of get like a feel of how they have some of the different stuff structured, and also just listening to some conversations. And yeah, it was super fun. I also realized how green I was as far as like what stuff that like Twitter or X has set up on those things. So there's actually quite a bit of functionality in there, and the fact that they all get recorded and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet. I'm going to start with just live chats that you could kind of dip in that are ephemeral, and then probably start exploring the capabilities of being able to record all those feeds as they're coming in and making their way out. But sometimes you gotta do just baby steps. So I'm gonna set up. I think I've already convinced myself. Oh, and actually, I even have. I guess I already thought about this. I just there's just nothing implemented yet. So I do have a Sky Lounge room provider. It's probably not even exported from the React library, but oh wait, that's the base one. Oh no, the room. I need to look at the room. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm guessing this one is, yeah, it's not exported out. So we'll export that out, and that will make it available to the app. Should be good there. Should be good there. Okay, so we have this. We'll start working in this, and it'll be kind of a combination of, accessing the media stream from this provider. And we have our use media devices hook, so we can I need the hook. I don't want it's not coming from the context. So yeah, so I know we're going to need our media stream, and yeah, we're just going to start laying this out. The oh, I guess I'll also dig into this. So I was looking into some of the socket stuff, and I'm using NestJS for the API, and they actually do have a like an events gateway that you can choose like from two different flavors of socket packages. So you can either use Socket.io or WS. I'm gonna play around with setting up WS, and so I did create this events package underneath our nest, or really, I mean, technically this would be API, but the reason why I called it Nest is who knows, maybe I'll have another API that's a different framework. And these are definitely specific to being used within a Next app. So, and I'm saying Nest with a S, not to be confused with Next with a X, which I'm also using for the site. But so I did set these up and added them to the app module. I haven't tried to actually connect a socket connection to those yet, so I'm not 100% sure whether those are plumbed in right. And actually, wait. Oh, I guess I initiated it in main, so I set up the fact that we're going to have an adapter. I haven't added it to the main module yet, so I guess I need to do that. But so yeah, so that's kind of the state of stuff, and I'm only going to be able to really stream to like 6 or so. So hopefully you can hang around. If not, I mean, this might be a little bit boring today because it's going to be I feel like I had a lot of this other stuff kind of set up and scaffold as far as just like handling the Bluesky stuff, but there was even enough road bumps in dealing with that some of those portions of the stream ended up going a little bit longer than I thought. So I'll try to make this try to do as fast as I can, but at the same time, I guess I also want to make sure I'm doing it right. Um, so yeah, so it's gonna pull up some pages. I did find an example application last night that had stuff. It's pretty straightforward. There's a few little parts in it that it was like using some it had like a class, it had like a factory that was then creating these peers and like these streams and stuff. I don't know if I need to go so class based. I think I could probably just create like a map and be able to throw some instances in there and manage like the multiple peer connections and stuff like that. But it was at least good to dig around and get like a feel for all the different stuff that had to be set up. Yeah, I mean there will be webhooks for sure. Do I need to do the actually what was that thing you sent me? What was that thing you sent me? I need to do like there was some sort of security. Sorry, I'm talking to John. He's chatting over on X. Was there like a security honeypot thing that I need to need to do? Oh, that's right. These things that don't go to they don't go to Twitter. Yeah, zip man. What is that exactly? Actually, you just want to hop on, John? You want to join the stream? Explain what a zip bomb is? I'll send you a link. Do you want to hop on the stream? Because I don't know what a zip bomb is. All right, I'm gonna send you a link. Oh crap! You gotta run. Okay, all good. Rad. Well, maybe next time. I'll All right, later, man. Maybe on the next live stream, you can hop on and explain what a zip bomb is. All right, cool. See, my buddy John, he's like a securities guy, site security and stuff, and he was like, I need to drop a zip bomb on all my sites. And actually, he was helping me while I was like getting DDoS, but it also turns out some of the traffic was external, but also some of the traffic was coming from inside the house. I was essentially like, one of my other sites was like being crawled by scrapers or something, and it was getting hit so much that it was taking down another service that I have running. So kind of was DDoSing myself a little bit, but I guess you figure that stuff out as it goes. All right, so let me find this example of this that GitHub repo. I don't want to do chat, I want to do audio, but maybe is it still here? Yeah, I think it's this one. So it's this WebRTC audio stream example. Yeah, they're using Socket.io for the signaling stuff. And I mean, it all seems pretty straightforward. Like I said, I think I'm going to try to avoid some of the class wrapping stuff that's going on in it. And just kind of create these like instances, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see. And then also, I guess I also need to test out the make sure that I have the socket stuff properly set up in the Nest API so I can connect to it via a WebSocket connection. But so yeah, so they basically set up this local stream. They're using a lot of, resuming this context if there's not a user interaction, which is sometimes like hit or miss on desktop and definitely required on mobile as far as making sure that there's like a user interaction to initiate the audio. And then they have it to where like if you're not streaming but just want to listen to the connections, that's where they're doing this like exit early and then just resolving this since they just call the same thing for every, I think it's for every like event that comes in. It's kind of calling the same stuff, if my memory serves me right. But they're actually, and then they're doing some different stuff here where it's more for like debugging, but they're like kind of panning one stream to the right channel, one stream to the left channel, and so that way you can both hear what's going out and then hear what's coming back, which is kind of interesting. I know that the audio is being captured, so I'm not going to do that. Although it will probably be interesting in the future if I need to play around with like the quality of the audio that's going out in order to like stream it nicer. But we're not there yet. We're just gonna go full spectrum and then figure it out from there. But so yeah, so they're like auto playing it, they're muting it, and then they're doing this like can play. And then attaching their media source to it and then loading it. It's, So yeah, I might actually have to. Actually, no. Actually, I should look at this. I don't know if get the web audio API. I'm not sure if capture stream is the same as the media stream. So I have an audio instance, which is actually the audio element. Those are events. It's on the methods. I guess it uses it just extends like the media element, right? So capture stream. Okay, so actually I might need this. So you might need to add an audio element in there. No, but it returns a media stream, which you already have. So I think we're good. Yeah, so I think we're good. Yeah, that's where like sometimes like looking at examples, sometimes it kind of can twist you a little bit. It's like, wait, what am I trying to get here? Um, yeah, then we're not. So like, it's also doing some stuff here where it's like grabbing local video and it's showing a video. We're not doing anything with the video stuff. We're just gonna have just audio for now. All right, so this is basically the peer, and then there's a factory down here that's creating the peer, I think. Yeah, create peer. Okay, so basically the peer. It's one of those things where it's like, do I just grab the class and just use it verbatim and just plumb it in, or do I try to like write my own thing around this thing? I mean, it's getting like yeah, we're not going to need a lot of this stuff. Obviously, we need the peer connection. The servers, which is just I think a null right now that they have in their example. Obviously, you can figure that for your own setup. Not exactly sure. Get remote media stream. Uh, so some basic connection stuff. Just doing some basic messaging. Although, what's receive channel? Is that even set up yet here? A send channel. Oh, it's initializing the receive channel based off of the data channel. Okay. That gets sent there. See, the cleanup stuff we really don't need to deal with. I mean, we will, but not in the way that we're not going to have all these things here. Yeah, my thinking is if I can just get the connections into a map and then make those available via the provider, or actually just render them right in the provider, then we can have all the audio instances there, and then and actually if we have all the audio instances there, originally I was almost thinking that I might have to do something with the sockets as far as saying like who's speaking, but if I have the streams going to an audio instance, I can probably just pull the source node for that ref, and then the audio source node, and then render waveforms on each instance where there's, where someone's talking, and just use the audio to obviously be the the data channel to inform the said waveforms, and actually have it be exact to what someone's doing, and then just use that. So I think that's one less thing as I was like thinking through stuff that I would have to do here, I think. Gain node for this stream only, connected to gain node for all streams. All right, so this is the local one. Because let's see where the audio node is local too, but is it a shared thing? It's using the audio. I'm assuming context is audio context. Where is it at here? Yeah, new audio context. Context create media stream destination. Context create gains. So yeah, that's just the general audio context. I think we're good there. Because actually, I'm pretty sure we have an audio context, yeah, available here in the media devices provider. So that's set up and available. Yeah, we don't need to do all this DOM stuff. All right, so this is where add local stream to connection and create offer to connect. So essentially we create our peer, and then we add Not going to worry about video. We'll add our local stream, which is the outgoing remote stream node.stream, which is the audio context create media stream. It says create media stream destination. So let's check out the audio context API real quick. Sorry, I knew this is going to be a lot of. This is not the best radio, not the best streaming, but hopefully y'all can hang with me here. All right, so media stream audio destination out. Actually, I'm wondering if I even need to do this. Because it also has a media stream. It's just a single audio track. Yeah, this is an instance of a media recorder, though. So actually, maybe let me go back to the peer connection. I mean, maybe we actually have most of the stuff we need. A couple of these opened already here. What are our methods here? Add track. Adds a new media track to the set of tracks, which will be transmitted to the other peer. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna, if we have a media stream, I'm just gonna open it up in that provider, and then we're just gonna add the tracks from it, and then we'll have our local peer connection, I'm guessing. Let me just double check this real quick. We'll have our local peer connection, and then we'll have the ones that we receive. Let me go. Oh. So yeah, so this up here, socket ID, creates a peer, and it's basically keying the, has this like instance of peers keyed by ID, which is basically like the map I was thinking about. Okay, so I think we're okay. We just need to create the connection and then maybe emit an event, send an event that we joined. Anyone do any WebRTC stuff? Yeah, I guess if you're on X, you can actually chat. I will see it, and then I'll just have to open up the app if you want me to chat back or just talk. But I guess we'll start setting this up. So we have our. Let me clean up a little bit over here. Yeah, we don't need our Skylaunch provider. Don't think we need that right now. I guess technically we don't need any of this right now. We already got that in there, so we're good here. All right, so we'll have our context there. We're going to have our peer connection, and that'll be null. We'll probably have some like methods here, like little callbacks, like join room, and then that will then set our room and do some other stuff. And it'll probably accept like a room ID, I guess. So yeah, I think it's starting to do some stuff that that we would probably do. So I guess we'll call this local peer connection. Or it probably just could be peer connection because we're going to have our list of remotes that we'll get and we'll add to after the fact. So we'll see. But we'll make this available via the context. And I guess technically we need to see if we have a media stream, and then we can add those tracks to the peer connection. And then we need some socket stuff here. And actually, what's this thing about an offer? What are you trying to kind of offer you're trying to make here? Sometimes you just gotta see what cursor is recommending. Maybe they maybe they know better than you. I mean, that's the thing. I probably could totally AI this thing out, but I kind of also want to know how it's working. So that way it just doesn't generate a bunch of crap and then I have to basically pick it apart again. I'm trying to do like bare minimum. I'm not sure if that makes sense to do or not, but I just kind of want to know how it works. But at the same time, I probably should just let it go nuts and then go back and look at figure out why it's not working. Okay, so we are going to make a API request too, just to basically, even though we have the sockets, I'm still thinking that everything gets saved and saved and shared via the database. Then that way, in the event that you join the room late, it just basically pulls down all the guests, and then all of their peer connection stuff is can like be reinitiated, I guess. But would me joining send it back? I don't know. Let's see. Actually, let's go look at that example real quick. Yeah, I'm not going to have this done by 6. But we'll get close. We'll get close. So yeah, we have this socket thing here, which is basically kind of handling the room connection stuff. When it initializes, it doesn't have any rooms. It makes a connection out here. I mean, it's making the assumption that that's just uncreated. Okay. So yeah, the thing that I yeah, this is the part that I guess we'll have to see. Kind of negotiating this offer answer thing with the the peer connection. What's offer options? Offer to receive audio. Offer to receive video. I see. So I guess ours is just only going to be the offer to receive audio. Okay. So actually, I'm probably gonna have to set up the socket stuff sooner than later. But so we're gonna add our tracks, and then we're gonna have our peer connection. But yeah, we'll create our offer, but we need to actually pass in options. Also, this isn't async right now, so async join room. Yeah, offer to receive audio, true. Offer to receive video, false, I guess. And then double check how, and then it's, so we're setting the local description, which actually should be, oh yeah, it is an await. And then okay, and then now here's where we have to basically negotiate the offer, which we don't have set up yet because we need the socket stuff. Okay. Okay. So I guess let's start getting some of the WS stuff set up. This is like that other part of the thing is just like, do I just have everything in here as far as the socket connection, or do I compose it out in some other thing? For now, I guess we're just gonna set it up in here and then we'll figure it out. But it's about basically we need to socket send offer. Yeah. At the same time, this is only if you're listening, actually, I don't think you need to do this. So that might be the difference of like, well, I guess technically you still need the connection to listen. So maybe you still need your own handshake, but I have a feeling that this might have to be optional as well as this, because if you're just listening, we're not going to necessarily have a media stream for you. So actually, maybe all this peer connection stuff should just be under if we have a media stream, which means that you're either the host or you're a guest and you're a speaker, and yeah, and essentially that has kind of been made available to you, I think. But this is receiving, so maybe it's more of a media stream. Actually, you're always going to want to receive video, audio, regardless. Okay, working through it in my brain. But we won't have tracks added because there's no media stream. So that's good. Okay, so socket stuff. Sorry, I'm in code. So yeah, let's actually check out. Actually, it's just well, they're using Socket IO. So I just need to see what WS has got. And there's probably actually a package for React. Let's see. All right, so pretty straightforward. Okay. Cool. So let's import the WebSocket and then I guess store a connection in a like maybe a reference or something like that. And this will actually just be a new WebSocket, and we'll have a next public WS URL, I guess. You know, like my non-exertion. We'll go with the warning over the error. It's fine. So we have our socket. I guess we'll call it a ref, just so that we know what to call current on it. Although probably should be probably makes sense to maybe do that in a like basically have this thing, but not really set it until we've actually done something, because we don't really want a socket for just everyone who loads up this provider. It's really more of a, all right, you join the room, we're going to set up a peer connection, we're going to initiate your socket connection, that kind of thing. So that makes sense. And then actually for this, I'm gonna put it in like its own setup socket thing. And then that way, if we want to do something different with it later or call it from something else, we can, but we could also set up all of the event handlers and everything on it right here, and it's all good to go. Because essentially we could also then have the, have to see if there's a thing we need to do to like destroy it. Okay, so we have that. And then assuming that this all goes well, we'll have we'll send our offer. Sorry, I was going to go back here real quick and look at what I might be missing. Which I think that was all in the socket, right? Yeah, it's just like some visualizer stuff down there. I guess technically we don't have all this stuff set up yet for the peer connection either, so maybe I'll do something similar here where I'll set up peer connection. Might make sense just to have that as a and then we'll return it. Create our offer, set up a local description. So yeah, we're going to go over here and we're just going to set up some event listeners on this. They see ICE candidate, ICE connection, state change, data channel. Okay. Was state change and then was what, data channel? Yeah, data channel. Now it might just make sense to make that a ref too, as opposed to holding in a state, because but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so we're setting that up. We're setting that up. We're gonna send that. And actually, this is probably realer than this is the realness right here. So actually, we're gonna need. So I have this use Sky Lounge, and it has a client in it. So we're going to use that. Yeah, it's in this repo or library, except it's just use Sky Lounge. Not sure where that client came from, but we are going to use the client off of it. And then this is where I think it does make sense, where essentially we're going to initiate the joining of this room. And actually, I was actually thinking that it probably makes sense to. Oh, sorry. I go to code. So I added the use Sky Lounge hook, and I'm pulling the client off of that. And then, so we set up the socket. We also set up our peer connection. This auto suggest from cursor is to make a post to the API to say essentially that we have an offer. I don't think we're going to do that, actually. I think we're just going to join the room. So essentially dot post. And instead of offer, we're just going to join it. We can pass the offer for sure. Send that along. I'm not sure what else we'll need to send with this. But we'll see. So we should probably await that. And then what does it want down here? That wants a client. And what else? Oh yeah, our 2 callbacks. Cool. So that seems good. This is the thing where originally I was thinking that we would actually do this join, because essentially this is going to give us our room session. And then originally I was thinking that, well, I guess this offer might be slightly different, but maybe it makes sense to do this. Do a little try catch action here. Oops, what'd I lose? I'm not sure. What are you doing, cursor? So essentially we get our room session, assuming that this works well. That means we were authenticated and we can do this thing. I guess this might be required in order then to broadcast out to the other peer connections, but I was also, in another world, I also could basically broadcast that via this endpoint. Oh, what? No, I'm not talking to you. So yeah, I mean, if we're passing the offer, essentially, and then we're going to store that essentially on the guest that's part of this room session. My thought was that the API itself could then do that broadcast out across the sockets and let everyone know that there's like a new offer, and then you wouldn't really have to do it here. I mean, we still need the socket to get it for the other ones who are connecting, but this is one of those things where it's like delegations of concerns. Who do you want controlling what? I think it makes sense for the API to actually do that broadcast, but I guess we'll go with this for now, and then let's maybe. So yeah, so we don't need this. And actually we don't have this endpoint yet. So I don't even think we have a rooms. Yeah, we do have a rooms controller because we're making rooms. So we could do, it's not public. It is going to be a post though. and join room. And go to the room service. And we're going to do a join room. It's not going to be a room update though. This is, we're going to get the room. And then we have our schema. Essentially, we're going to create this. So we are going to want the current user. Or actually, I guess we can do current account. So the thought was essentially, is there a current session? It's not find first, it's going to be like find the latest. And does a session have a status? Might want to put a status on these. It would be active, ended, and scheduled. Thinking. So yeah, we basically want to get the find first where room ID .id and then up. Where'd you go? Status equal to active. Just generate the types real quick so that way it actually, I can pull that room session status off of there, get that enumerator. But basically, if current session, this is going to be one of those things where this is getting a little more in the weeds on the, the room session stuff than I was thinking. But basically, essentially, if there's not a room session and room.host ID is equal to account ID, essentially you create a room session. Or not current session, I should say. And then And if not, you just like, I guess you would throw an error or say that it's just not active yet or not accepting connections or something. So actually, we'll do this as a let. It always feels so weird to do lets, but so we'll create the current session if there isn't one. Essentially, if not current session, then room session. Yeah, room session not found. And then we need to I need to refactor the schema. So I think I knew this, but right now I essentially have room guest as like an element, like a relationship to the room itself. I think I want all of these to actually be rolled back to this room session. So essentially there can be, you can have like a static room that people can meet in, and then there could be multiple sessions within that room. So it kind of gives you like one spot to where you can keep up on past activity, future activity, and all that other stuff. And then each session will have its own kind of like history as far as like the chats and the people that were in it, and if there's a recording thrown off it. I think that's makes sense, but I'm not going to get that refactor done right now, and it's 6 o'clock, unfortunately. So, all right, getting close. Hopefully this is interesting. I might actually pick this up tonight and jam on a little bit more. Of course, it got into schema stuff, and I was hoping I could just have everything be WebRTC related, but I will get the socket. I'll make sure that the socket server is up and running and available via the API later tonight. And yeah. So yeah, got some stuff I think going. At least got a provider set up with our peer connection, which we don't know if it's really working yet. We have a WebSocket connection, which may or may not be connecting to something. We have some basic event handlers and a new API endpoint that lets you join a room and initiates a new session for that room if one's not active and the host is the one who is joining it. So got a little chunk of work done, but obviously more to go. Like I said, yeah, I'll probably jump on later and try to button up the refactor of the schema and see about getting that into a state to where all the relationships are, wired up appropriately and associated to a session, and figure out how sessions are managed. But I don't know. Hopefully this is interesting. If you all are jamming on something, definitely either on this or future jam sessions, post in the comments and let me know what everyone's jamming on, and we'll get some mentions on the show or whatever this thing is, this stream. And then yeah, I need to record an all play episode, but I also have been doing a little podcast over at allplay.fm, so if you want, check out those episodes. And with that, I will sign off and see you on the next one. Like I said, I'll probably jump on later tonight, but I'm not sure when. So nothing's scheduled yet. All right. Have a great one.